I've been wanting to learn digital painting for a few years. I took many attempts at it in the past, and I always felt like I was fighting the tools, slowly trudging through mud. There are many different styles that you can achieve in digital painting. I wanted to simplify and quantify the process of learning. So, what did I consider success? For me, success was being able to render smooth gradients in the context of realism. I wanted to break free from only being able to do line and color. My plan was to just keep practicing until I felt like I knew how to do that. It's difficult in the beginning because you know it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work. So that's why I only task myself with 1 hour long studies at least once a week. It's good to take lots of breaks when learning a new medium, having zero expectations. It's all about the time put in and the self-reflection. There is no pressure for great results. The only judgments on myself was 1, did I try something new today? And 2, what worked and didn't work? And in between each study, I would try to watch a handful of tutorials that best influence how I was working at the moment. There were no techniques or tools that were off the table. With this video, I want to explore the directions I went in, what worked, what didn't work, and which tutorials I watched that taught me the most. First off, there were a lot of buttons. So I watched this tutorial, Total Beginner's Guide to Drawing in Photoshop 2025. In the beginning, I worked directly with color, laying in flats by using the lasso tool or the brush. I found that using the smudge tool needs to be done sparingly. Often, I'd start over multiple times in one piece to try different combinations of techniques. Eventually, it would feel like it was time to move on. The eye study felt like my first breakthrough. Digital coloring tips with Haberlin taught me that utilizing the lasso tool and an airbrush is a great way to achieve smooth gradients while still holding on to your edges. This technique seemed to work best when there are many smaller sections of color. You can quickly build up a lot of flowy shapes. I blocked in big and small shapes with the lasso tool in flat color, blending everything with the airbrush. This was a significant step forward. However, something didn't feel right. I always fall back to relying on my line art to give a complete look, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why. There's nothing wrong with line art, but the goal is to not need it, no longer shackled by the rules of man. I also attempted shape carving many times, and I just could not seem to pull it off. I've heard it over and over that the brush doesn't matter. It completely matters if you don't know what you're doing. The settings are what matter. In the settings, soften the edges to about 50% and change the opacity and the airbrush settings to about 40%. By brushing over the areas multiple times, an overlapping of different shapes will build up intricate forms, tweaking the settings as you need. Additionally, you can push and pull some of the transitions around with the smudge tool. The smudge tool works best for me with a speckled pattern, and it needs to be used sparingly. As I explored, I noticed the best results came from the approaches that felt most like traditional art in the way that I am most experienced, building shapes with values, pushing and pulling, drawing with an eraser, using only one layer as long as I could. Hardy Fowler taught me that you can add color after exploring the values, and so I began to focus my efforts towards monochromatic paintings to reduce complexity. When I tried to use color, I feel like there are too many variables for me to move forward, and everything just keeps getting muddy and inaccurate. Leaving out the color for the majority of rendering seems to work best for me. That way, I only have to focus on the paintbrush and the eraser, not whether I have the correct color selected. There are various techniques to bring color back into a monochromatic piece. How to colorize grayscale paintings is the YouTube video that I use that really pushed me forward. Gradients, multiple layers of overlay, hard light, multiply, and so on. There is an argument for not wanting to paint in grayscale. Here's the video that explains why that might be the case. It's completely up to you. At the end of the day, if you make good art, it doesn't fucking matter. I finally discovered that blurring the edges added a lot to the realism. So after unlocking the layer, I'll go in with a smudge brush and nudge all the edges around a bit. It gives a photographic appearance to the painting. With feathered edges and proper contrasts, I no longer need my lines to complete the artwork. I finally figured out digital painting. It's time to fucking do a project. I recently went to Disneyland with my family, and this is my uncle Jesse. He bought a Luke Skywalker helmet from Star Wars at Disneyland because Disney bought Star Wars. I decided to put him in pose uniform from this image. Now we have a hard surface modeling for the helmet. The visor is transparent, and these are all different textures and in different colors, with the puffy foam jacket, different fabrics, a literal portrait with hair. So starting off with a monochromatic value painting that went pretty deep into the process. And then I chopped everything up with the lasso tool, and I colorized them with gradients, overlay, this and that, I'd say I've done it. I'm really proud of this piece, and I'm excited to move on, continue growing. This is the beginning. I have upcoming projects, but I'm not promising you shit. So you'll just have to see, I guess. Yeah.